evening. My hair was crazy, but I decided might as well let it show for what it is rather than hide it. Because once I could get a haircut, I'm gonna get a haircut. But welcome everyone to our fifth iteration of our leadership roundtable.
My hair was crazy, but
Whoa,
I
hold on.
decided. Sorry, my fault. Might as well let it show for what it is.
We're just trying to get the viewer count up, everyone.
Once I could get a haircut, I'm
Trying to be real, and
welcome everyone.
I was confused for a moment.
Fifth iteration.
Is someone else watching it too?
I still hear it.
I still hear it too.
Sorry,
Josh-
my fault.
Okay, that was me.
Uh,
I'm just trying to get the views up. But yeah, welcome everyone. I have a fun icebreaker question for us to start with. It was given to me by my friend Andrew Rue. Shout out to Andrew. And this is what he asked. If you were to cast a movie about Pursuit, who would you cast for each member?
oh,
Ooh.
All right, that's a good question. Shout out to Andrew. Thank you for asking me that on my IG when I just asked people to ask us questions. I thought that was the best one I got.
that one is good.
Yeah, other people ask like theological questions. Like, you know, like,
Not an
what our
icebreaker.
vision is for the next year. And I'm like, But once
No
again,
one
if
knows.
yeah, we're in quarantine, right? If you were to cast a movie about Pursuit, who would you cast for each member?
Great question.
Should we just start with someone? On
Yeah,
the
I
team
think that's-
first. Yeah, let's start with Josh. Who we have? Oh, I have someone. I just got someone.
Who do you got?
Yeah, I'm nervous. Wait,
Wow.
hold on.
Josh.
Yeah, I
I'm
got
gonna
someone.
look for someone too right now.
I mean, I got someone because he looks like him.
Oh,
Really?
go.
Yeah.
Who looks like Josh?
Kevin, who you got?
Should I go first?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think Josh will like this answer though.
but it's an honest answer. So
I mean, this is just because of looks wise, but Neil Patrick Harris.
I heard that. Since high school. Yeah.
Interesting.
Has to say, I think you're old enough to remember the show, but Doogie Howser.
Yeah.
Yeah, that people said that I look like most like him in that TV show, Doogie
Oh,
Howser.
Not as Barney Stinson.
Not as Barney Stinson.
Oh,
as Doogie
interesting.
Howser. Yeah.
All right, my thing for Josh would be Andrew Garfield.
Oh.
Garfield.
Yo, he's actually one of my favorite guys.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
who's
actually
Andrew
reading-
Garfield?
He's the guy that
Spider-Man.
played Spider-Man before they redid Spider-Man again.
Oh,
The worst Spider-Man that
Yeah,
was
the-
created.
Yo, was he really bad at Spider-Man, to be honest?
Well-
So I think Josh is like
Who is that?
Orlando
That's
Bloom.
Orlando Bloom?
Oh,
What?
that's
the-
Orlando Bloom with glasses. Tell me
Oh
that
shoot!
don't
I
look
see
Josh.
it. I
Wait,
see
yeah,
it.
that looks like
Josh,
Josh.
look to the side. Look to the side. Oh my god.
No, the other side. The other side. The other side. Ah, there it is.
Wait, that's so funny.
Oh shoot, that is pretty
I
good.
never got an Orlando Bloom comparison before.
Wow.
Wow. I'm honored.
Yeah.
He's a good-looking man.
But I like Andrew Garfield for Josh because of the mood he had in the Spider-Mans he had.
Yeah.
I feel like that's Josh.
Yeah, I honestly thought he was a really good Spider-Man.
Yeah. The rest of
don't
America
know.
didn't though.
It's because you look
Maybe
like
Adam.
Maybe I resonated with him. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's who I would pick for Josh.
Josh, nice. Yo, these are pretty accurate.
Yeah. So who was it? Orlando Bloom, Neil Patrick Harris.
And Andrew
And
Garfield.
Andrew Garfield.
Is this name Neil Patrick Harris? It's like
Yeah.
those three names are confusing. All right, let's do Kevin next. I mean, I would say Eunhyuk is his doppelganger.
For
Eunhyuk,
sure, for
yeah,
sure.
from Super Junior, K-pop boy band. But who would? But I don't think that guy can act. Oh, Josh, who would you pick for yourself though? Before we go to Kevin.
Shoot, that's a tough question. I can't think off the top of my head right now. But why don't we think of Kevin, and then if I think of anything, I'll just
We'll go
interject
back to you.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, Kevin.
And Kevin is hard because the only person
Kevin
I
is
can think
hard.
of is Unyo.
All right, you got to think about Kevin's mood. You got to think about what kind of pace his storyline would have, and
I feel like I don't even know.
Should I just use all Spider-Man characters?
Yeah.
Because Danny is definitely the current Spider-Man guy.
Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kevin is Toby by
Toby
Tobey Maguire.
Maguire.
Dang it, he's the lamest one.
No, but that's not actually my answer. I'm just trying to think.
No, Kevin's is hard.
Kevin Hart. Yo, what is that? Is that a teardrop?
Unyo.
Yeah, Danny, shout out to you for providing all the visuals, right?
It's
Yeah.
Kevin, man. Man, this is hard though.
You're our special effects team right
Come
now.
on. I'm here.
You know who I would pick for Kevin?
Who?
Chris Evans in Captain America.
Oh,
Like that
why?
vibe.
oh, I
Just
like
that vibe.
Actually,
Chris.
I don't like his
Okay.
vibe, but I'll look like him. He could play me though.
Wait, why do you say that? That's so interesting.
Because you know how like Kevin's just like that, like one voice that like rallies everyone together. But that's, I think, Chris Evans in Captain America. He's like that
Wow.
one guy that's like, let's not kill each other. You know? But
Man,
that'll be my answer for now. I'll try to see if I can think of anyone else too.
Kevin.
Yeah, did you guys ever watch that movie About Time?
hmm
You know the main actor? I just
Uh,
looked him up right now. Domhnall Gleeson.
All right, Danny's gonna get the visual up.
What's his name? Don.
How do you
Just
spell
look
it?
up About Time.
Uh-huh.
Domhnall Gleeson. Gleeson.
He's the redheaded Irish guy, right?
Yeah, I'm not talking about looks. I'm talking about like feel and like.
Oh,
I feel like that's Kevin.
Like that comedic pace that he has.
Yeah.
I do like
Don-
Rachel McAdams. so-
Donnell Neeson.
Yeah, and could play Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, I can't
And
find
then-
him.
And then
D-O-N?
just look up the movie About Time.
About Time.
ABOUT.
Oh, okay.
I forget what he looks like though.
Yeah.
For some reason, another person I thought of for Kevin is Chris Pratt.
Oh, Chris Pratt.
I could see Chris Pratt.
Like a little bit of the humor, a little bit of the sarcasm, a little bit. Yeah, I feel like I can see that.
What's his name in the movie? I'm
You're talking about this
Star-Lord?
guy, right?
Yeah, that guy.
He's cool.
Evan.
I'm down.
Yo, you know who I think of? This is random. I'm thinking of what's that guy from Twilight?
Edward Cullen?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's like a little quiet, but he's mad charming.
He doesn't wash his hair.
Isn't he the new Batman?
Yeah, he's a new
yeah.
Batman.
Robert Pattinson.
And he's the only one that wiped it up from all of us. So
Is he wifed up?
we wiped up. I mean, Kevin's about to wipe up.
Rachel McAdams, shout out.
Hey,
Kevin, who would you cast for yourself?
Honestly, I don't know. I'd say like the closest in looks is probably like Brad Pitt. But like
What's up, Chris Pratt?
but yeah, no, I'm not sure. You have to come back to me too.
Yeah,
I
I
wanna
know
know
who
what
I would
Ann
play for
thinks.
myself.
Oh, who?
Ken Jeong. That's who I would choose to pick for myself.
And Joe.
Honestly, Ken Jeong.
Then if you do Ken Jeong, I'll do Bobby Lee.
It's gonna be like a rated R comedy.
Yeah.
Is it biopic?
Yo, if you're Ken Jeong and you're Bobby Lee, I'm Aquafina.
She's
Hey, guys.
dumbfounded.
Hey guys. It's fun.
All the Aquafina fans are gonna come for you, Danny.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
Who should Danny be?
Danny?
Yeah, I think you said a really good one before, P. Sam.
What? Tom Holland?
Tom Holland.
Yeah, I think Tom Holland.
For
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm trying to see if there's anyone else I can think of for Danny.
Yo, you know what I get a lot of? I'll show you guys right now.
Oh God.
Yo, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. So Tom Holland.
You know who I think for Danny too? Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, why? Wait, why?
Like not his like latter stuff, but you know when he was like in Disturbia and when he like first is in Transformers, like the younger one. Like I feel like that's Danny.
Interesting.
So after Even Stevens, but before, you know,
Drugs.
the weird, yeah.
But Danny, who's the one you're trying to show us? Who are you trying to show us right now?
It's a Korean dude. But
For yourself? This is who you would cast for yourself?
no, this is what people say that I look like.
It's gonna be like Hyundai or something.
Oh, what the?
I can't see it.
Oh, the mouth
Dang.
looks the same though.
Oh, thanks, bro. No, there's another one. I got you.
Oh.
It's a different guy.
I don't even know who he is.
He's this Korean singer.
Nah, you don't look like him.
Oh.
Nah.
Thanks, bro.
I don't even know who that
Yeah,
is.
you don't look. Actually, there's someone that people said you do look alike, but then I don't want to say it.
Yeah, don't say it.
Yeah, you were funny last time, so
Yo, message it in the chat room on Zoom. I don't think it shows on YouTube.
just in case, I'll tell you guys later.
Just text it to me right now. But
Interesting.
nice. All right, what about
Yeah.
for me? Who would I have
Pastor
to play
Sam.
me?
Samuel L. Jackson. No, but I kind of mean it because I think it's like his leadership roles, and then I feel like because he could be both serious and like inspirational, but at the same time he's really funny. So
Samuel L. Jackson,
yeah.
my new doppelganger.
Trying to think of someone like who exemplifies being sarcastic, sassy, but charismatic.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr.
Oh,
RDJ.
that is a good one. That is a good one.
Trying to think. I'm trying to think of someone who plays all the broken roles, but I don't know who that is. Plays all the broken ones.
Interesting.
Oh, you know who would play me?
Oh God.
Robert De Niro when he plays comedy roles. Like Meet the Parents.
Oh shoot!
Interesting.
What was their name? Mr.
I don't know. I know the Fockers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's
what I
what
was
it is,
thinking
right?
of.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is,
That's what I'm
right?
thinking of.
But that's Ben
Yeah,
Stiller. Is that his name?
Yeah, Ben
His
Stiller.
family, yeah.
Oh, that's his family's name. Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I don't remember what Robert De Niro's family's name is.
Robert De Niro. I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yes.
Yo, I got one for Kevin. Hold on. I got a good one for Kevin. Owen Wilson, I think his name.
Owen Wilson.
Oh,
Yeah.
Should we just recreate
Comedies.
Meet the Parents? Josh, you can be Ben Stiller.
Darn.
Danny could play the I don't know. the cat in the movie.
Wilson, Kevin. Owen Wilson. That's a
Oh,
good one.
Kevin has to break his nose like 7 times.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's the nose.
Yeah. Didn't he like literally break it like 7 times?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it looks funny.
It's like broken, yeah.
Yeah. But let us know in the comments if you would go watch this movie. To be honest, I wouldn't want to go watch this movie myself. But yeah, I mean the theme for our leadership roundtable this week, transitioning here. I don't know how to make a nice transition from what we just talked about. Is teamwork. So teamwork. I thought it would be fun to just share like story time about just even how our team formed, and maybe everyone could. I think maybe we shared this before too, of how everyone joined the team as well. But our ministry is 6 years old. This is our 6th year. Get ready, next week we're gonna have our belated 6th birthday party as a ministry. Well, we're not sure what we're gonna do yet, but we'll do something. But our ministry is 6 this year, but our leadership team is 3 years old. So we've only had a ministry team, a core leadership team for only half the time. And for me, I guess I was waiting for things to be ideal, if I'm honest, of why it took so long to fully establish the leadership team. Everyone on our team, even now, has so many things on our plates. We wear different hats for different work, for family, for ministries, for extracurricular ministries, and everything like that. And I was just waiting for an ideal time when everyone would be free enough to be a team. But I realized if I did, this team would actually never form. And I realized there's so much that I could do alone. I mean, everyone was helping, but I think that's where it was kind of confusing as to what the commitment would be or anything like that. But finally came time when we can't move forward without the officially establishing a team. So that's why it took a little bit time for everything to come together, at least on my end, on why there's a why we didn't start with the team right away. I mean, some of the stories we shared, like transitions from the get-go and everything like that. But that's kind of how the team formed. What do you guys remember about that time when we first started the team?
Like when we very first started it, right?
Like, yeah, officially. So it's, I think, fall of 2017, right?
Yeah, either end of August or early September.
Yeah, I think it's when we started having conversations, and I think our first ever meeting as a team, like official leadership team, was like that fall. So what do you guys remember about that time and being asked to join and everything like that?
I mean, I was excited. At that point. I was already involved with a different ministry, another parachurch regional ministry. But I was already helping out Pastor Stam when you would go around different places. That's the time I was just getting to know Josh and Kevin, not on a real personal level, but more so like observationally. And so I think for me, I was excited because I was like, yo, I would love to be a part of a team pursuit where I could be with Kevin and Josh, Pastor Sam. At that point, it was also Jay and Janet. And so for me, I was very excited. I think I was like finally happy that this was coming together just on my end. And so that was my initial thoughts, initial emotions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me too, it's the same sentiments. You know that map behind you, Danny? I think we took a picture, not with that one, but it reminds me of like when we took that selfie and there was a map in the background, right?
Yeah.
There was a picture.
Of our first meeting.
I remember even just looking at that picture, like whenever I saw it pop back up on Facebook, it was just exciting. Because I think I was just so excited to be around the people that I was around. And, I was already around you guys, prior to that, we were already kind of doing things. But then to kind of set something official made it more solid. And I feel like, that one. Yeah.
Dang, Jay looks young in that picture.
I think Jay always looks young, like even now. But I feel like it made it something where we could actually start building. Whether it's like there are times where things would move up and down, or the paces would change. But I feel like starting from that point on is when we were able to start building. So
Yeah,
Mm.
that's good. I mean, for me, it was so obvious as to who to ask to join the team. You know, like, because all of you guys were already coming out. I was already, you know, having a mentoring relationship. I didn't necessarily have that kind of relationship with Jay and Janet, but they were already committed to help and serve in any kind of way. So it was pretty like no brainer as to who to ask. But once again, for me, the challenge was when to ask, or
Mm.
if it was even right to ask, if I'm being real, because I knew so many things were on your plates and I didn't want to put like another burden or another commitment, you know? So, but Josh, what do you remember about that time when we started?
I remember, I think up to that point, yeah, I think we all had a relationship with you in different capacity. And I think we all wanted to just help out with Pursuit, however we can, whenever we can. And then I think when you first brought up the idea of the leadership team, I was like, oh, shoot, that's sick. And then when I heard who's on it, I was like, oh, that's even cooler. And I remember you formally asked me when I was in Colombia. I was in Colombia at a mission trip, and I was at the hotel, so I had Wi-Fi, so I still had the iMessages, blue messages coming in. And then that's when you're like, yo, I think we're gonna actually go ahead with this. Like I want to ask you, like, can you be a part of it? And I was like, yo, I would be down to, you know? So I just remember it being really exciting too, because I think it was in the comings. I think, is that the right phrase? It was up and coming. It was just like a matter of when for us. And so I think when you finally pulled the trigger, and I think that's been the main consistent thing about Pursuit over the past 3 years for us.
Yeah, it's the team. And I mean, I'll say this, it's like an interjection, but since you mentioned blue message, I feel like our team went to the next level after Kevin got the iPhone a couple months ago.
It's true.
True.
It's true.
Truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying iMessages brings teams together. But
Come on, Kevin.
yeah, I think one of the things that's unique about our team's story of our team, you know, we started 3 years ago. You know, everyone else on the team already had a relationship with one another. Like everyone already knew each other, had served before together. And I think one person that was kind of like outside the orbit, more like a satellite, was Danny. Danny, what was your experience like? Because Josh and Kevin were already good friends in college.
Yeah.
They all went to the same church with Jay and Janet at that time, or at least Josh did for a season. Like so much history, same college, same state, but yet you're kind of the only one that was coming in because the only person you had a relationship before Pursuit even began was just me.
Yeah. And so, great question. I think I shared this like during the first episode, but for me, I always had such high view of Kevin and Josh, just because, you know, when I heard about Pursuit, I heard there were people who were a part of it outside of Pastor Sam, and that was Josh and Kevin. And so in many ways, it didn't feel like a team was forming. It felt like I was being invited into a team. And that's in many ways, that's kind of the perspective that I had. And so it was incredible. I mean this with all sincerity, but it was incredibly honoring. I'm like, oh yeah, I could finally be on the same team with Josh and Kevin. I feel like I'm finally a part of the family, because up until that point, it was a lot of just whatever Pastor Sam was doing, I was just there to support and help out. But it didn't feel like I was necessarily a part of Pursuit. I felt like Josh and Kevin had the right in a way to say, yeah, they're a part of it.
They were the veterans.
Right. I mean, Josh was there since the OG. Kevin was there like a year after. So literally, I'm straight up a newbie when it comes to this. So yeah, I remember that was kind of how I felt. But I mean, I'll be very honest. Because I only had a relationship with Pastor Sam up until that point, I wasn't close with Josh at all. I wasn't close with Kevin at all. I wasn't close with Jay and Janet at all. As a matter of fact, it was probably one of the very first times I've actually had a conversation with all of them, right? And so I just remember, if I'm being very honest, I remember for me, I felt like I had to actually do a lot of work to get into the team. I knew I was a part of the team, but I felt like I had to do a lot more work. I had to put in a lot more effort to feel a part of the team. And you know, that's because Jay and Janet were leading worship. Once again, Kevin and Josh, you guys were Pastor Sam's right-hand man for many years. And so that was, I would say, more of a team dynamic. Now, on a relational friendship teammate dynamic, I didn't consider myself friends of Josh and Kevin until 2017, December 2017, which is when December 2018, which is when we went to Kansas City for One Thing conference. And that's the time where Pastor Sam, we know the story, he had to go to ATL for a retreat. So I remember Kevin and myself, we literally flew to Kansas City by ourselves. One of the very few times we got, it was just us two. We had a lot of conversation. I found out Kevin is freaking hilarious. Shout out to MTV Cribs. I don't know if you remember that, bro, but yeah, we just had a lot of fun, a lot of conversation. And that's when I got to know Kevin more as a person, as a friend. And then when Josh came, I think a few hours later, was when I got to see Josh outside of a ministry context too. So more so on a friendship level, more so as a person. And that's when I found out more about Josh's personality, kind of how Josh is wired, his sense of humor, just different things like that. And so that's when I would say, outside of you, Pastor Sam, was when I got real close to Josh and Kevin.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Thank you for sharing that. Just because I think, now obviously that was like almost a year and a half ago, right?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, it's amazing how fast time flies. But because I think people see our team now, and they see like we're close, we do these things, and it's like so natural. But there's like that whole process of gelling as a team. It takes time to form as a team. So that's kind of been our journey. I think for me, one of the things that's been so encouraging since we established the team is, and I say this like without pride or boasting or arrogance, like before the team was formed, I think Pursuit was synonymous with Sam One. Like when people thought of Pursuit, they thought of Sam One. But I think after we formed the team and we started doing things together as a team, I think one of the things I'm so like grateful for, encouraged by, is that people now associate Pursuit with our team rather than just one person. And I think that's been a really encouraging transition because, once again, I'm not trying to boast, but I get text messages all the time from people and other leaders like, yo, how did you get these guys? How did you recruit them? Like, how did you get like some of the best leaders in our region to be a part of your ministry? And, it was just all relationship based. Like I literally wasn't trying to recruit the best of the best. No offense to you guys. I'm not saying you guys aren't. Right?
It's okay. No offense, Casey.
Yeah. But I wasn't trying to build a team based on what the consensus was for the best of the best. I went for the people that were closest to me. And it just happens, if you run together for the purpose, you become the best of the best, if that makes sense.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Like Jesus wasn't calling the best of the best necessarily. He was calling those he had relationship with, and that's who the team became. So that's what I want to say to people, anyone who's watching, who's in a new team. Like, there are struggles, there are hurdles, but at the same time, it's not about recruiting the best. I'm just kind of going off on a tangent, but I think that's kind of how King Saul operates, where he was literally trying to recruit the best of the best to be a part of his team. Right, that was his mentality. But yet David, his mighty men were the ones that were broken just like him, and it was all relational based. So I feel like that has worked the best for us, and I think people now see the fruit, see the hard work of not being close with one another, friendship still kind of developing to what it is now. So, and any thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, thanks for choosing us.
Thanks for being close enough to be chosen.
I mean, even just from like my personal point of view, like it's just honoring to be part of this team, because I can say good things about each and every one of you guys, and I think Kevin said this one point where he's like, yo, like, do you know who I run with? Like, and in the same way, like from my perspective too, like when I look at you guys, I'm like, yo, look at who I'm running with, and like Danny was saying, like, yo, I couldn't wait to like work with Kevin and Josh, but like now I'm like, yo, if I'm associated with Danny, I'll take that any day, all day. So it's like, it's just funny how that is. And I think just the way our team formed, the best way I can describe it is that it happened organically. And
Yeah, it's good.
that's like the one word I would say. And I think because it was very organic, I think just the natural fruit of it is it just tastes different than a polished team or the best of the best team. There's just something about the fruit that we're producing because of the way we were organically formed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think PSAM, I think you set the tone. I don't know if you even did this intentionally, but by building the team founded on relationship versus, I don't know, success or ambition or motivation, like anything else. But I think because of that, we are able to polish each other. And I think like a team that wasn't so relational, I don't think they would be able to grow as much through each other. So technically, I feel like we have an advantage just by being relational, because now we have the brain of 4 people working together and willing to humble themselves to learn from each other, versus 4 individuals that are just trying to be the best at what they do. And then if things don't work out, there's like, people want to leave or like stuff like that. So I think it's like this tone was set from like you starting it relationally, and I feel like that's something really important.
Yeah. Yo, I love that, Kevin, because I actually feel very similar. I mean, I think if anyone looked at me 3 years ago, like no one would want me on the team. I'm just gonna be honest. 3 years ago, because I'm nowhere. Even right now, I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm nowhere near where I was 3 years ago. And I say that because I feel like that's for every single one of our team members. But so Pastor Sam, like I fully agree with you when you said you weren't looking for the best of the best. I think that's what Kevin said is the reason why we're able to come this far where we are now in such a short period of time. Because there's such a relational trust factor where I knew that, man, I am terrible at so many things and I need Kevin and Josh's input to help me develop and grow as a leader, that I normally wouldn't be able to be vulnerable to someone I didn't trust. And I feel like that's why there was such an exponential growth, because I trusted Josh and Kevin enough and they trusted me when they gave me real solid feedback on how to grow. And if I slacked in the area, PCM would hit me up and say, Danny, like this is something that you definitely need to grow in. So I feel like that's why we had exponential growth in such a short period of time. And I say that with all humility. I really do.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it is pretty funny, because I have friends who know Danny, right? I just want to brag on Danny a little bit, but they know Danny, and I always get hit up by other leaders, and they said, like, man, if only I had a Danny in my ministry,
Wow.
I think people say that about Josh and Kevin. Like, people are like, and I think that's the thing. Like we were saying, like when I met you guys, I don't think anyone would have wanted, no offense, you guys on their team. And I think that's kind of just the grace and favor that God has for our ministry. But, as a leader, I want to say that's the favor on my life as well. Like, I mean, I feel like the greatest sign of God's favor on my life, a couple of them have been the leaders that I've been fortunate to be under, but I think it's also the leaders under me that God has brought. Like, I'm just going to be straight up. I really feel like that's how I know I have God's favor, because I look at people that led me and the people I get to lead, and I know like it's not fair, So, but I think, I apologize to everyone who's watching that aren't into sports, because I think that's the thing about teamwork. It's like there's so many sports analogies that stand out to me.
Yeah.
So even right now, what we've been talking about, I think of this quote: "The whole is greater than the sum of its parts." Right? The whole, like the reality of our team being what it is better than if we were just individuals together. And I think that's the beauty of our team, where, I would want to first started the team, or even when we first started Pursuit, let's go even that far back. At that time, the 3 of you guys have preached collectively 0 sermons before.
0.
Right? I don't even know if Kevin ever thought he was gonna preach. Right?
Never.
Right? I think Danny was living a sinful life, maybe.
I was trying to see if I'm gonna be a Christian.
You're preaching something else.
Yeah. And then Josh, I think, was trying to figure out if what was next, in terms of, if not pharmacy, then what, right? Um, so by then to where we are now, once again, it's like, who would have ever guessed? You know, I'm not even sure if I was necessarily thinking, oh my gosh, any one of these guys can go to any retreat anywhere and kill it. Like, I'm not sure if I was even thinking like that, to be honest. I don't even know what I was thinking then, but I think just all that to say, like, what God has done with our team is really what God has been doing. You know, like it's a work of God, you know, like how far he brought us, and even that. And I think it just goes to show once again, like, I wasn't trying to find the best preachers in the region, the best young leaders. I was just people who are hungry enough to just want me to be in their lives. And, you know, I think that's just kind of how it was. But what do you think of that quote? The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. What comes to mind for you guys? Along with that, let me throw out some other quotes too that I came across. Once again, I apologize for all the sports analogies, but I think of like something like the Spurs, you know, where they have a culture, they have a team, they have a system where they get players that aren't necessarily the most highly recruited or sought after, but they become like stars.
Yeah.
You know? For example, Kawhi Leonard is one of the best players, but when he was drafted, he wasn't like the first pick. You know? So here's another quote I want to add while you guys are processing and thinking, because I want to hear your thoughts, is talent wins games, but teamwork wins championships.
Unless you're Kobe Bryant.
Yeah. And you ride the talent of Shaq.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait, let's not, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean. But yeah, so the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Talent wins games, but teamwork wins championships. And just even that system of, you know, because once again, I wasn't looking for the best preachers in the region, because you guys preach 0 messages, you know, when I met y'all. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I mean, I just love those quotes because it just goes to show you, when you have the right people with the right culture, everyone in their right place, something extraordinary is bound to happen, right? It's like you and you don't need talent to win. Because I think culture is more important than talent, I feel like, in the end. Because even if you look at, sorry for the sports analogy, but even if you look at all of the superstars in different teams or whatever, if that superstar talent is in a bad culture, more often than not, that talent goes wasted. But if you have someone with the average talent in a good culture, if anything, that average talent will increase by the culture itself more than anything else. So
that's great.
I think for us, like, that's, if you weren't looking for the best of the best, then what happened was that our organic relationship and our teamwork is what increased the water level within all of us to rise up to, you know? And I even also think about this. I think time to time, I think about, like, what would I have done if I wasn't a part of this team? And I think about that question because it makes me realize I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't amount to much, because I think there's only so much that I can do on my own, but then there's so much more that we can accomplish when we do it together. And I just wouldn't be able to imagine that I would be anywhere near who I am or what I'm doing today if it wasn't for the whole rather than the sum of its parts.
That's so good, man. Wow.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean,
Kevin?
I think even just looking at sorry to use sports, but like NBA, right? Like,
shout out employer.
I mean, LeBron is someone that's constantly being compared with Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time. And it's just, he was on teams where he was the main talent and he was a superstar, and he had chances to like win championships and all that. But he would lose to actual teams because like he wasn't in like surrounded in like a team environment. And I think him, even the place that he was at too, I don't think he was in a place of leadership to be able to raise the team members around him too. So I feel like it just goes to show, even in something like as simple as basketball, that it really comes down to the team. Like it doesn't matter how good, like how much of a beast like one person is, and I think even looking at every other sport too, like it doesn't matter if you have the best wide receiver in the world in football if everyone else sucks. Like there's no way that you're gonna win any of the games. Like you could win some games, like OBJ, he had that really great moment with that one-handed catch, but the Giants like suck. You know what I mean? Like,
now he needs soul care.
yeah. So, and I
True.
think even something like that, and I've asked my friends too, like, because I'm not really much of a soccer person, but I was like, yo, if one person's super good at soccer, you think like that could be able to like win games, and they was just saying like, no, it's all about the team, it's all about the chemistry, coaching, like so much goes into it, organization, that it doesn't matter if it's just one person that's super talented, if there's no like team surrounding it to be able to highlight that and to be able to bring out the best in others as well. So
yeah, it's good. I mean, I was watching some Hoga Bonita commercials by Nike, the old school ones, and in one of them, this quote is like, "You could be a virtuoso, but you could only play good music if you learn how to be in an orchestra."
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I know you guys
so
didn't watch
true.
the video. So.
nah, I saw
Wow.
it.
Shout out Kevin, MVP of the team.
I saw the first 10 seconds. Sorry, got a little dry.
I think it's in the
yeah,
first 10 seconds.
It starts with the quote.
maybe it was 3 seconds. Maybe it was 3 seconds. But you know what I think about when I hear that quote? And this is just me being honest and real. I wanna use the example that Josh gave. But if I wasn't a part of this team and I wasn't a part of this ministry, I actually have a lot of confidence that I would have been able to do something with my life. But I'm confident only that that'll have given me a resume and a list of accolades, like personal gains, personal accolades. Like Danny preached here, here, here. Danny did X, Y, Z. All about Danny, Danny, Danny. I would have had a resume. But one thing that I'm realizing is that because I'm a part of this team, I'm a part of making an impact. And if I just had a resume, I wouldn't have made an impact. I would have actually been saying, yo, look at what I'm doing, look at all that I'm doing. And I think that's why teamwork is so crucial, but it really does require a lot of humility, because you're literally, there's many moments where you're laying down your own accolades and your own resume to say, I want to be a part of a greater impact. If that means my name isn't known, and if that means that, I won't go down as whatever, the all-time great, I'm okay with that, as long as I can make an impact, And so I just feel like that's like what I think about when I hear that quote. And once again, I think that's why I do want to applaud this team so much, because I'm actually confident Josh would have been an incredible, I don't know, a missionary or something. Josh would have been next level. Like I'm confident.
Yeah.
I'm sure Kevin would have done something amazing with his life too, like without a doubt. And PCM, we already know PCM. But I think that's why I applaud everyone here, because it does take a lot of humility to say, okay, I want to be a part of a greater thing. And if that means laying down my name and laying down my desires, I'm gonna put that down. And so
Yeah,
Wow.
that's good.
I love this team.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think that's so good, because I think this is the reality, right? If you could accomplish your dream on your own, your dream isn't big at all.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you could accomplish your vision by yourself, then you are envisioning too small, because anything big, anything great, anything grand requires a team to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
Yeah. I really like that.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the purpose of a team, right? It's because dreaming alone, I can only accomplish so much. I think about it like this: like everyone hates group projects. At least I hated group projects, right?
Oh my gosh, the worst.
Right? Because I think it's focused on a task, but I think a team is focused around a vision.
Wow.
Right? It's focused around a goal, a dream, and I think that's kind of our dream as a team, where we bring our own viewpoint and vantage point to things, but I think our heart for the Lord and for revival is the same. So I think that's what keeps us together, is we're dreaming on a bigger level. How has being on a team, I know, Danny, you talked about, laying down your own dreams, like that's part of the process, right? It reminds me of that African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
There is that process, but how has the team helped you dream bigger?
Wow. Wow. So for me, a lot of my dreams that I wanted to accomplish had to do with a lot of me. I'm just trying to explain this the best I can, but a lot of it was for self recognition, self approval, and don't get me wrong, it was big dreams, and a big part of it was so that I could impact and influence other people around me. Um, but being a part of this team, I think for the first time ever, I realized that my dream isn't for me, but my dream is for something bigger. And
Yeah.
I really wouldn't have been able to see that. I wouldn't have been able to sense that at all, because now for the first time, I want to fight for someone else's dream too.
Yeah.
Like, I want to fight for Kevin's dream. I want to fight for Josh's dream. I want to fight for Pastor Sam's dream. Even now, I still remember the first time Josh ever told me about his desire to see healing rooms open up in a cafe, or something along the lines of that. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I want to do what I can to also help that dream become a reality. And so I'm realizing for the first time, because of this team, and this is one part of it, but I'm part of not just my dream, but now other people's dream too, where I can really directly be a part of it. And the impact then is, for our case, is fourfold, and so that's a part of it. There's another part, but I want to give someone else.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I just want to add on, or I just want to tie in or kind of bring back what you said just before, like projects versus vision, because you said group projects were focusing on task to do, and then there was like a dream that focuses on like the vision. And I feel like to a degree, each of us, we have our own visions and dreams. But I think if we were to tackle things on our own, we would do it as a project. And I feel like if we were to look at it as a project, it would narrow down so much to just like what we know and like what we can see, what we can visualize. But me seeing, like, for example, like Danny, like one day you want to have like a school or something, like, like something like bigger, right? Then that actually forces me to dream bigger in my capacity on like how to handle people. Because I'm like, if I'm going to help Danny, with the school thing for Pursuit, then I need to learn how to deal with people better so that I could actually help out Danny. And I think combining the dreams together, it actually makes your dreams have to expand and your skill sets have to expand. And that's something I could have never thought of, because I would have never thought of doing a school like on my own.
Wow.
That's so good. Yeah. I mean, for me, I think the team has helped me to dream bigger in twofold. I think the first thing is like just knowing who I am. Like, I think like for those who know my story and my upbringing and stuff like that, I think I have such a small view of myself, but being part of a team where people are speaking life and helping you see who you are in God, that helps me to renew my own mind about how I view myself, to be like, oh shoot, I can be that type of person. Like, if you told me a couple of years ago, like, oh Josh, like you'd be helping out with healing rooms and whatever, I would have been like, what? No, but that's like something that P. Sam has called out in me. He'd be like, yo, I think I can see you doing this. And then that changes my view of myself. Like, oh, maybe I can view myself, So I think that awakens dreams in your heart. And I think the second thing is like, I think when you're on your own, it's hard to dream because there's more fear. I mean, there's fear in the process of dreaming naturally itself, right? And I think that fear can easily take you out. But when you're part of a group, it's helpful to have other faith and other people's strength that you can rely upon. And so even though, like, let's say I have fear about like doing healing rooms on my own, I would be scared. I'd be like, yo, what if people don't get healed? What if no one shows up? But then as a group, I can rely on your strength, and you guys are gonna
and
be
we'll
like,
show up.
You guys not only show up, but So I think when you're on your own, it's hard to dream because there's fear. But when you're as a team, it's there's strength to rely upon to dream together.
Yeah, that's good.
Wow.
I think that just reminds me, like, the blessing of doing teamwork is when we add our faith together, the result is actually exponential.
Yeah.
Right? Even though we only add the faith, the result is multiplied. And I think that's kind of the value of teamwork, where whatever we put together, it's like multiplies the effort, multiplies the faith. And I think, based on some of the things that you guys are answering, I think it would be awesome if we kind of share the core values of our team. I think for us, what was on my heart is when we established this team, I knew that the first main value had to be covenant. So I don't know if you guys remember, but like our first meetings literally had zero logistics, zero planning, zero like anything. Like instead, all we did was take turns sharing our dreams.
Yeah.
Like two people would just share their dreams, and we would just pray and prophesy over them. I think we did like spin the bottle to choose like who would go, right?
Oh yeah.
And like who would share their dreams until our whole team went. And that's literally how we started our team, because like Danny said, like about dreaming, where covenant is saying that I'm going to fight for your promises as if it's my own.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. A contract is about, what do I get? But a covenant is what can I give?
Wow.
A contract is I'm in this for me, but covenant is I'm in this for you. Right. So that was so important for me as we started this team, because I realized like what all of you guys are sharing, like it's just inherent now. Because I would say it's not natural to like, I'm going to fight for someone else's destiny. Like that's so unnatural. Right. Like you guys were very real. Like, oh, if I'm being real, I would live for only my destiny. Right. But I think that's why for me, covenant was so important. Like that had to be the starting place. That had to be the foundation. Like that's the heart. Contract is I'm in this for me, but covenant is I'm in this for you. I'm a believe and fight for your dreams as if they're my own. What do you guys want to add to that?
I mean, I remember that meeting seemed long ago. First off, that meeting seemed ages ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember that moment. But I'm glad. I remember when we're going through that, I was so glad that was the first core value that you established on our team, because I think with the whole thing about contract is like, I think contract, you have the option of leaving, right? It's like the offer's on the table for you to leave whenever. But with the covenant, not to say that the option to leave isn't there, but it's harder. It's different because it's not just of what I can get, but it's like, man, we built something, and it's hard to leave now that we've connected and we built something together. So I just love that was our first core value of our team, because I think it was something deeper than just like, hey, we're just a team and we're trying to get this accomplished. It was like, hey, essentially let's kind of do life together. I think that's what the underlying tone was with that first core value. And I think it, once again, kind of going back to what we were just talking about in the previous section, it's like, I think that's why our organic relationship was so helpful on top of that, because the whole idea of covenant is doing life together.
How about this? That covenant helped form those organic relationships too.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it goes both. Yeah.
It's true.
You know what I remember? I'm glad you brought this up too, Pastor Sam. But I remember, I think it was the first two meetings. Exactly what you just said. Like we spent the first two meetings just sharing what is the dream in your heart, and then everyone else praying and encouraging and prophesying over that person. And I think that's the first time. I think that's the first time everyone prayed for me that wasn't Pastor Sam. And that's the first time everyone prophesied over me that wasn't Pastor Sam. And so I just being honest, and I think that was a real game changer for me too, because I realized in that moment, okay, Kevin and Joshua never met before. Okay, they really believe in me and they're for me, And so I think that was huge, and that's a big part of covenant too, where I didn't feel like we were business partners. I really did feel like we were teammates. We were family.
Yeah.
It took a while to get there, but that's what I felt.
Yeah. And I just want to talk a little specifically about the exercise that we did, because I feel like in us sharing our dreams, establishing that covenant, it also actually gave everyone an inside look on what's on our hearts, like how people operate, what we actually prioritize and care about. And I feel like that also helps in like, how do I approach this person as well? So,
yeah, no, I think, my underlying goal was family with covenant, like everyone's saying, because I think it helped us become where we are today. But, our dream obviously is that our team won't just be us four, like it can't be, right? So when people are invited into it and our team organically continues to grow, we're inviting them into that same culture of family.
Yeah.
Like,
So good.
once again, we're not trying to recruit the best of the best, because that's not how we started, and that's not how we're going to make it, So
Yeah.
it's just, I think as we build family, the natural thing about family is that it's meant to grow, like families are meant to grow. And I think because covenant was our first main core value, it leads to our second one, which is communication, right? Where I know communication is an area that I have to still grow in. I'll talk about that more later. But I think we want to be a team that over communicates, and we're able to communicate honestly, because I think because we have covenant, we know that what I'm about to say won't break relationship.
Yeah.
Right? I could be honest. I could be, obviously with honor, love, truth, but I can speak truth because I know our relationship is founded on covenant. What do you guys think about what comes to mind when it comes to communication and things like that?
Communication, once again, if I'm just being honest, I think that's probably the area of our team, in my personal opinion, that we're growing in and we're trying to navigate through the most. And so
Yeah.
I feel like it's still what we're growing in and what we're intentionally putting in effort to developing, and so but I do want to say this. I like, without a doubt, you have to over communicate rather than under communicate. We have a lot of stories where we've under communicated and we had to relieve some of the tension and and whatnot. But I would say this. I would say it does take time to build covenant so that you can trust one another to communicate honestly and openly.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, if Josh or Kevin or Jay or Janet were to be very open and communicate what was in their heart to me for me without a relationship, without a covenant relationship, I probably wouldn't have received it well. And I would have probably been more confused. So I think one thing I did want to say was that it does take time to develop. But once again, the emphasis is on over communication.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I think for like me, I think I think communication is probably the thing that our team is like one of the things we need to grow a lot, in terms of like productivity and all that stuff. But when I also think about communication, I just think about it in the context of relationship. The fact that I can be honest, the fact that I can ask questions, with the fact that I won't feel like I'm getting judged or whatever, and then I think that brings a level of freedom in a team, because I guess if you don't have that sense of freedom to communicate and just be open and honest or whatever, then I think that's kind of stifling to be on a team like that. And so I think there's one aspect of communication where we're talking about like teamwork and all this stuff, and I think there's another aspect of communication when it just comes to relationships and doing life with. And I think that's one area. I think this area our team is working and growing through. I think this area is the thing that our team has been doing well, because I think once again we've been having relationships. So
I mean, I'm just looking at it this way, but I feel like families break because there's a lack of communication, or maybe even miscommunication. And I think covenant and communication go hand in hand, because I think even looking at the way that, some of our closest friends or even family members, there's still room for like miscommunication, and there's still like communication is still so hard. And I think that's why it has to be, I'm so glad it is, a core value that we have, because it's something we need to always remember. And I think understand like how to communicate with someone, like what to communicate, when to communicate. There's like so many intricacies to it. And I think that's like what relationship is, like even our relationship with God, like it's built on like prayer. It's built on God speaking to us, like us speaking to God, like through like communication. So
no, that's good. I think it is twofold, like you guys are saying, where if we lack communication for a project, the worst thing that could happen is that project fails. But if there's failure in communication of our hearts and relationship, then our team dies. So like I think that's why for me, like communication, like Kevin said, it does go hand in hand with covenant. I think covenant has to come first, where because sometimes we do drop the ball, but if you don't have that safety net of covenant, then I can't take ownership. I'll say,
Yeah.
oh, like it failed because actually X, Y, and Z. But if there's covenant, I can say, honestly, I dropped the ball. And we can communicate that. And I think, there are rooms to improvement, but I think that relationship piece is the most important,
Yeah.
It's kind of going with covenant and communication. And one of my favorite stories, and one of my favorite messages of all time is from Chris Valentin about finding your destiny. And he preaches from Ruth and Naomi. But long story short, he talks about how people come to him all the time and they ask him like, hey, like, how did you start a ministry school 20 years ago or whatever? Like, how did you get thousands of students from all over the world to come to your school? What was your process and steps and dreams that you were able to sell best-selling books? Like, what was your thing? And Chris Walton simply says, yo, I just wanted to be the best mechanic. Like, I don't, like, that was my dream. Like, I didn't have any of these dreams in my heart. What I found was covenant.
Wow.
Right? I mean, basically, he says, like, I didn't have any of those dreams. What I found was Bill Johnson.
Wow.
And I was willing to give my life to that man and to his dream. Like, I didn't have a dream. I just wanted to be the best mechanic. And I think that goes hand in hand with covenant and communication. I'll just say one more story. Like, I really love Bethel, you can unfollow us if you want. But I share this with our team all the time too, where I remember one of the pastors from Bethel came to speak to our region, and he's one of the young guys. Like, his dad is one of the senior leaders, but he talked about how when Bill Johnson met Chris Fountain, he was a mechanic. When they met Danny Silk, he was a butcher. But like, there was nothing. They weren't the most talented anything. I think that's where I got my inspiration for this team. But what they had was a group of men that was committed to say yes to one another.
Wow.
Like, they were willing to lay everything down so that they could say yes to one another's dreams. And I remember getting so wrecked by that. And I think that's kind of, how the dream started of what I wanted our team to look like, what I wanted the foundations to look like is covenant and communication. And the third and final core value of our team is, one of our favorites is celebration. Because honestly, I'll say this, I think Christians have a hard time celebrating.
Yeah. Say that one more time for the people in the back.
Christians have a hard time celebrating.
Come on,
somebody, right? And I think it might be because they're religious, like they're a little like stuffy religious. And I think it's also because maybe they feel prideful. Maybe it's like a view of their own worth. It's like all these, maybe that'll be a different leadership roundtable. But celebration, I felt like had to be a non-negotiable. This doesn't sound spiritual at all, but Jesus knew how to have fun.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we say this all the time, like, ministry is fun. I think we've said it in like every leadership roundtable. What are some of your thoughts when it comes to fun, celebration, that being one of our core values as a team?
Come on. I mean, I think one thing I love about that is that we get to celebrate not only our victories, but each other's victory.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time that I've ever experienced anything like that. The first time I ever experienced anything like that was in Pursuit. I didn't know you were able to. I didn't know other people wanted to celebrate your victory. Let me put it like that. I didn't know other people wanted to celebrate your victory. I didn't know you were allowed to. And I think that was a big part of it, because I felt like up until that point, a lot of it was, okay, you make sure you get your stuff done and it's on to the next. You make sure you get your stuff done, on to the next. But I think being a part of Pursuit and literally having other people celebrate even just the small accomplishments. Like the first time I preached at Pursuit, like Kevin was like, yo, Danny, that was so good. Danny, that was awesome. Pastor Sam, he gave me an honorarium, my first one ever in my life.
The last one.
And the last one.
Last one
True,
from
true.
Pursuit.
And so, I mean, all these different things, like first time I felt like, okay, I have people that are willing to like share my victories, and that made me want to celebrate with other people too. So we have our own personal accomplishments that we celebrate, other people celebrate. But man, if you combine all that and we accomplish something as a team, then that celebration is so much more fun.
Yeah. I think for me, celebration is so important, because when I think about celebration, I think of longevity. And I think
so
if your vision, if like kind of what we all been saying, if your vision is that big as a team, and like, I think one thing that we like to say as a team is like, when we think about our vision, we're not even thinking about within our own lifetime. We're thinking about the next generation as well, right? So if it's that big and if it's going to take that long, then you need to be able to celebrate during the process of getting to that dream or vision, or else it's just going to be burnt out. It's just going to be stressful all the time. Yeah, you're just going to not, because the distance is always going to seem longer and longer and longer. But unless we celebrate, turn back, look back at how God has brought us, then that gives us the courage and the motivation to turn back forward and be like, you know what? God brought us this far. We can still go.
Come on.
However, So I just think celebration is so important for us to just be like, hey, let's pause. Let's celebrate what we're doing, have fun, and keep going.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I'll give some examples. Like even earlier today, we had prophecy rooms. We had our volunteers team. Some of them maybe even prophesying for the first time in that kind of environment. And it's easy to be like, oh yeah, like, oh, you had a revelation like that, like, oh, we've seen that before, or we've done that before.
I got 10 a day.
Yeah, like we've had words like even more spot on than that before. But I think that's what actually kills, any sort of growth or any sort of harmony that's there. Good. And so I think even for us, as soon as like something happened, I think even at the end when we're debriefing, you guys shared only things that like the other team members did. And so that's something I noticed, that you guys didn't say like, oh, like when I met this person, like I said this and then this was spot on. But it was like, yo, this person on my team said this and it was like that. And then I feel like that's the culture of celebration that we need. And I'm sure that the person was encouraged. And I just want to give 2 more examples, but I don't know if this is super accurate, so you could fact check me on this. But then Jeremy Lin, right, on the Knicks, when Linsanity was happening.
I was there. It's the Lakers game.
I mean, there's thoughts and rumors that like because one person wasn't able to celebrate him, that it actually ended.
Name drop who it was. No,
this guy right here, right? But because of that, things ended and the Knicks are still bad. But I'm looking at a team that has a culture of celebration, and I know not all of you are fans of this team, but the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry, right? He's probably the best shooter that has played the game before. But when Clay set the record, or when Clay, beat him in the 3-point contest, he celebrated him. Yeah, he didn't compare, and that's the reason why Clay is staying with a pay cut. Not as bad as Scottie Pippen, but like, like Clay could get a max contract like somewhere else, like easy. But he's like, I want to stay here. Like he likes the culture there, and I feel like that's what it means to have a celebration culture. So
great example.
Yeah, that's powerful.
That's good.
I mean, I think also too, like, I feel like a joyless Christian is an oxymoron, right? Or how about this? A joyless leader. Like it doesn't make sense in the Christian world, where I think we all had experiences being a part of a team where we don't get celebrated. It's like, why even try that hard? Why even do that? Why even like go on and stuff like that, But I think part of it for me too is we want to make a big deal of even every small step. Right? Because ultimately it's giving glory back to God. And I'm sorry for all the Bethel references, but actually I'm not sorry. But I remember Bill Johnson was saying, like, if you can't worship God for a headache gone, like you can't be trusted with an empty wheelchair.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? And that's just kind of the mentality I want to have with everything. Like like Kevin said, we just had our first ever, prophecy room this morning and afternoon, and it's going to be the first of many to come. I know it, but we want to celebrate God. Like we want to have fun. We want to make markers. And I really love what Josh said, like creating those memory stones to look back, to give us fuel to move forward. So so celebration, those are our 3 core values as a team: covenant, communication, and celebration. Right. But yeah, what I just want to ask, maybe this, we could talk about this. What are some of the things that we're doing now to keep growing as a team? Right. So for me, I think the things that I want to focus on that I've been intentional is, us reading the same books, right? Different one of us have recommended different books at different times, but that was something I really felt like was important, is that we're constantly learning and growing together, having new ideas and being on the same page through books. And, we're growing in communication. Once again, I'll talk about that later, but just using tools. We use
Mhm.
Slack. We use Marco Polo. I think
A lot.
this weekend, like
Oh god.
I felt bad for Kevin. He was like busy, and then he had to catch up on like 3 hours worth of Marco Polos
Yeah.
on like not even important stuff. Some things I can't even repeat right now, but I mean, we're just taking advantage of tools like that. But what are some of the other things you guys can think of that have helped us grow as a team and build
Yeah, I mean,
teamwork and all of that?
I have something right away, but I think it's being involved in each other's projects or assignments or tasks. But I think for one thing, because we're a young team, we're a small team, to a degree, we have no choice
Yeah.
but to be invested. But at the same time, there's things like, when I'm doing the volunteers team meeting, like you guys don't have to be there. It's not something, you guys have no responsibilities, but the fact that you guys are there and then you guys are able to give me ideas or be like, hey, like, why don't you try doing this? And then it leads to other things. And I think that's what leads to growth. And I think even Danny, you taking the lead with like the prophecy rooms thing, that was like, whose idea was it? Was that Pastor Sam that brought that up? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's say Pastor Sam, like, he just did it himself, right? Like, then Danny wouldn't have had the opportunity to be able to grow in like the administrative things that went into it, like sending emails out that was like professionally formatted, or even like communication, with people, and setting things up like that. So I think being invested in each other's responsibilities, that's what I've seen, like actually help us grow.
Wow. Wow. Hmm. Hmm.
I think another thing that we do is we take time to give testimonies of our lives. We don't do it like every single time, but once, like actually we do it pretty consistently. Where I think
Yeah.
Pastor Sam will take time to just be like, hey, like anyone got any testimony going on with their life? So I think that's huge to kind of see like, oh, what is God doing in Danny's life, in Kevin's life, in Pastor Sam's life. And then the second thing that we've been doing a lot lately, I think that's been building teamwork, is we've been taking time to prophesy over each other in very specific ways. And so it's just been fun, just hearing from God and just taking risks together as a team and just trying to prophesy over each other. Yeah, that's been building a lot of teamwork lately.
Yeah.
I think along with that, it's just praying together too. Like, thanks to the pandemic. That kind of sounds funny to say, but obviously during this time we've been praying together as a team more than ever before, and I think it's just sharpened so many things for us. And especially with all the workload that we do have in this season, I think like we couldn't do it without that time of like intentional praying that we've been doing. And the prophesying is just fun for me. Just have fun doing it.
It's a lot of fun. No, I agree. I think the prayer aspect of it has been a real game changer in my opinion. But I think another thing that I'm noticing that's been developing our team even more is, once again, I want to talk about communication. Is because I feel like during this pandemic we've been communicating on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But I've also been a part of teams and organizations where they were like, okay, only communicate when it comes to ministry, or when it comes to your assignment or the work that needs to be done, like making it very strict on the content of the communication. But for us, if people were to listen in on our Marco Polos, if they were to read our Slacks or text message, I'm sure they would say, what the heck are you guys talking about? Because it makes no sense. Many times it's not about ministry. It's just about our personal life, what we're going through. And so I think that's what's really been developing our team, especially in the aspect of, once again, communication, inside look into our lives, holding nothing back, hiding nothing back. And so I think that's really been super helpful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think along with that too, just another like practical thing, along with reading books together, is like going to conferences together.
Yeah.
Right? Not just like as ministers, because I think we've done that too. We've had the privilege to minister at retreats and together. And I remember like that being really fun and being like a whole nother level where we get to just see God move and celebrate and be like riding each other's anointing and stuff like that. But I think for us to go to events to receive as well has been like, game changer too. And obviously Danny's story in the beginning about the KC trip is because we made it a value to go to conferences to receive together as a team.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
good.
That's a
Um,
good one. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone have questions that are watching. I'm not sure if people have any questions. I don't think so. I don't think anyone's watching, but
we got 12 viewers.
yeah, 4 of
Four
them
of
is
them
our
are
team,
us.
and 5 is Pursuit's account. So I want to ask a couple questions then,
Yeah.
just for us as a team. And this is where I'll talk about communication. What areas do you feel like you have to grow the most in the context of teamwork? Like, what area do you feel like you have to grow the most? So I'll just start. I think for me, I have to over communicate even more because I realize my thing is like, oh, I have an idea. Like, I get an idea. I'm like, oh, I want to do this. And then I just expect everyone to know my idea. But because I'm like such a weirdo, like no one knows my idea. No one gets my ideas. But I think I'm just so quick with like getting different thoughts and ideas and things that I want to just implement right away that like I'm just running with the idea already without taking time to like clearly communicate and then to keep on communicating. So I realized that's one of the things I have to grow in as a member of this team and as the leader. So I think that's my thing. It's like I get an idea, and part of it is sometimes I don't even know how to communicate my own ideas. It's like too many things, but yeah, I feel like that's one area that I could definitely keep growing in.
Wow.
In that. What about for you guys?
I think we're all perfect. I think
Pride,
pride,
self-deception.
Yeah, I mean, I think Danny, do you actually have something, Danny?
I don't. I was being very serious. Okay, I'm kidding.
Yeah, so I mean, I think for me, I think to be able to ask for help more, or to ask for more input, or to be able to use you guys more as resources, just because I feel like I'm pretty like sheepish when it comes to asking for help or asking you guys to like help with something. So I think that's something I could do better, just understanding the value of, the overall picture of teamwork. And even if it's something where I'm like, oh, like he wouldn't care about this, or like there's nothing else that could be added to this, but to be able to think, on a bigger scale, like regarding that. Yeah.
I think for me, one thing that I really do need to develop in the context of this team is perseverance, or maybe to put it a different way, sticking through what I committed to doing, and
Grit.
naturally grit. So naturally, that's a weakness of mine. I just think I get bored very easily. I think a part of it is personality, but I also think another part of it is I haven't developed grit in many ways. And so there's a lot of examples where, Pastor Sam and I, we would have conversations about starting something new, and we would get it started. And about, a month later, I get very bored of it. And so it ultimately be him running with the idea. God bless you. I don't know who that was.
That was my
mom. God bless your mama one. But yeah, I think for me, I wanna be able to continue on to things that I promised. Even if I get bored of it, even if but yeah, great. Let's just put it like that.
Follow through.
Follow through.
Yeah, kind of similar. I'm along the similar lines with Danny too. I think another thing for me is I think being more vulnerable and communicating that aspect more, because I think naturally I am a little bit more closed off as a person, as my personality and stuff like that. And so I think just allowing other people in, yeah, that's probably another level that I have to take.
Yeah, thank you guys for sharing honestly with everyone on the internet too.
Oh shoot, I forgot about that.
What did you learn most about yourself by being a part of a team? What did you learn most about yourself by being a part of, let's say this team, right? not just anything, but what did you learn most about being a part of this team and teamwork and stuff like that?
I think I'm learning a lot right now, actually. So I think even the talks that we had about like disc or just like what kind of anointing or what kind of, I guess, value you have. So I mean, you guys say all the time that I'm pastoral, and I think I'm finally beginning to understand or accept that like more fully in my life. And I think for me, I used to compare where I'm like, oh man, I wish I was like really charismatic, like in the front, like to be able to do, all these things, like make an impact in these ways. But then I think me learning that there's value in me being quote unquote like pastoral, I think me seeing that actually helps me to be more comfortable with just me like being myself.
Wow.
And I think
Wow.
that was actually something I'm actually still learning now. Even recently, that's something that's been on my mind where I'm like, if I wasn't on this team, then I don't think I would have fully come to understand that, to exercise it, and to have it affirmed in me.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Kevin too. I think for me, I really learned the importance of staying in your lane, because I think like it's so easy to try to be someone else or try to be like something else. But when that happens, I think the whole team kind of gets out of whack. You know what I mean? Like, but I think when everyone finds their seat at the table, then I think that's when you see the team really taking off. And so I think just coming to understand, man, who am I? What gifting do I have? What gifting do the other people have? And the second fold of that, I would say, is like, I guess looking at other people and their gifting and their lane and just kind of being amazed at that and being like, oh, wow, they're so different, and not in a bad way, because we need that, it's like we need that aspect of them. And so like when I look at teamwork from that perspective, I'm like, wow, yeah, we're all different and sometimes that can be challenging, but at the same time, that's our greatest gift. Like,
Wow.
that we all bring things, differently.
Yeah.
Yo, I really agree with what you just said, Josh, because I think through this team, I really learned and am learning that I don't have to do everything. And I think that's really liberating for me, very challenging for me, if I'm being honest, incredibly challenging, but very liberating, where I don't need to have my hands involved with every single thing going on. As a matter of fact, like, yeah, I could just stick to one thing and do that well versus having to do so many different things, and being able to trust Josh and Kevin and Pastor Sam and whoever else to do way better than I would have been able to. And so I'm realizing that a lot through this team, and so I could stick with what I got to do and not be involved with everything. But at the same time, I love what you just said at the end, Josh, because I think a beauty that I'm learning once again through this team is appreciating everyone else's voice and everyone else's input and what everyone else brings to the table. And like, for example, Kevin, I just wanna shout you out real quick, because I'm realizing if you were not on this team, the people who come to our gatherings and our volunteer staff, they will not know what it means to experience love, compassion, care.
I'm gonna stop you here because that's gonna be my next question.
Okay.
So I'll stop you there.
Gotcha.
Not because you're preventing people from coming to our gatherings, but yeah. I think for me too, I think what I really learned about being a part of this team is that I like Danny said, like I don't have to do it by myself, and that I can ask others. Like I can, burden them with the vision, to say it that way. I feel like that's what I learned, because I think for most part, because once again, because situations and circumstances weren't necessarily ideal, and there isn't much that I can offer, in the sense of Danny only got that one honorarium, but he's preached multiple times since, that, like I don't have to feel necessarily bad. I think that's one of the things I learned, that I don't have to do it by myself. And I think being part of this team, I think I'm learning just who I am as a leader as well, because I think too, like I don't have to compare myself to other leaders and other leadership styles, but I could lead in my own way, and just trusting in God's faithfulness with that. But I wanna wrap up this time with one last question. That's why I had to stop Danny. Is what does each person bring to the team that no one else can?
Wow.
Yeah. So Danny, you can continue. I didn't
Yeah.
mean to
So let
cut
me.
you off, but
No, you're
I wanted
good.
to save
You're
this
good.
question for this moment. So
I figured. So let me just continue on with Kevin, and then we go from there. But yeah, that's what I think Kevin brings. But it's just more than being pastoral, and I really hope people understand that, because I think sometimes when we think of pastoral, it just means like a counselor, but it's more than that, because I forgot who said it today in the volunteer staff, but they literally said, I appreciate Kevin's leadership so much because it's his pastoral leadership that's empowering us to be leaders. And shout out to that volunteer that said that. But I think that's what really sets Kevin apart, because he makes every single person feel like they matter and that they belong to the group. That their voice matters, that their input matters, and that we are so grateful they're part of a group, the team. And so I think that's what really sets Kevin apart. And if Kevin wasn't in our team, once again, I don't think we would have a relational impact with people, nor do I think we would be able to see people with the full compassion. But because Kevin's on our team, like, yeah, man, it's been awesome.
yeah,
Thanks, Danny.
yeah. I think for Kevin too, I think he just sees the golden people better than anyone else I know. I think like I've asked him as a joke a couple of times, like, Kevin, why is this person? Why should I not judge this person or something like that? And Kevin would give me an answer, and I would feel convicted because I'm like, damn, Kevin really sees golden people. So I really feel like that's what Kevin brings like to the table more than ever. Not just that he's like exceptional at it, but I think he's just so consistent. Like he doesn't ever not be in that mode. You know what I mean? Because I think all of us, we do see golden people, like, you know, like we do, like that's why we're able to do the ministry that we do.
Yeah.
But I know for me, like that's a switch I could turn on and off.
Me too.
But for Kevin, like it's just on all the time. And then I feel like that's what Kevin brings to our team, because I think, you know, like, you know, I think Danny's, you know, joking, but that is a value of our ministry. Like we seek to see gold in others, but I think Kevin is like our compass for that. You know? So that's what I feel like Kevin brings to the table that no one else can.
I think for Kevin, he brings wisdom to the team, and not wisdom in terms of content, but wisdom in terms of relationship. Because I think he brings wisdom in the sense like, oh, how will this impact people? How will this impact this person or that person? And I think Kevin makes our team people oriented. Not to say that we're not all people oriented. I think we have to be in this business. But I think for the three of us, I think we can turn on the switch to be result oriented all the time. But I think for Kevin, is his natural wiring is people oriented, and I think that keeps us balanced and centered as a team.
Yeah. I mean, I really think Kevin is like Danny Silk. Like if there's any leader that I could compare Kevin to, I think it would be Danny Silk, because no other leader is like that relationally like focused like Danny Silk is. You know, like that's his bread and butter.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like that's Kevin, like that counseling edge, you know, to a degree. What do you guys think about for Danny? What does Danny bring to the table to the team that no one else does?
I think first off, Danny is the biggest encourager on our team, and he encourages every single one of us. Even Danny encouraged me yesterday on our Marco Polo, and to be honest, I went to that Marco Polo video and I saved it on my phone just so if I'm ever feeling down, I can look back at your encouragement. But I would say you're the biggest encouragement, and I think something unique that Danny brings is I think Danny plans really well, and I feel like he's always not just thinking about something in the moment, but he's thinking about it a long term. And so whenever we're thinking of new ideas as a ministry, as a team, Danny is not only thinking about, okay, well, how can we get it done right now? But I think Danny looks like, oh, well, what will it look like in the future? How are we going to do in the future? How is it going to impact that? And I think that's something very unique that he sees and something that unique that he carries.
That's good.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel like Danny, you ask questions that I feel like I would have never thought to like ask sometimes when we're on a topic. And I think a lot of times it's along the lines of what Josh just said. Thinking for the future, like, oh, what happens if we do this? Like, can we, structure it so that it looks like this for that? And then it's like, oh shoot, like that is like a good point to bring. And I think you bring like challenge to things too, as in like, I guess you'll say things that I don't know, maybe I don't think is important to say, but then for you, you're like, this is something we need to talk about, and I'm like, shoot, like he's right, like, and I think you'll bring up points that like maybe not everyone will bring up and talk about and actually challenge. So I think that's definitely something too. But it's like what Josh said too, like you're the most supportive guy that I know, like not just on this team, but I feel like you're everyone's number one, like greatest supporter. And I think you don't just do that with words, but you actually do that with action too. And I think, even with what you did for even the volunteers team, just like, teaching and, doing everything, like no matter what you're involved in. And I think even when I see you involved in like any other ministry or helping anyone else out too, I feel you give like your 100%. And I think that's your integrity that, makes you do that. So, yeah.
Integrity.
Oh, God, bro.
I feel like what Danny brings to the team is he's the only extrovert.
Oh yeah.
On our team.
Thank God.
So if people need counseling, we send them to Kevin. If they need to be like welcomed and like just shown like high energy, we just send them to Danny. No, but I do feel like Danny brings like energy to the team that no one else does. Like if I have an idea and I need like excitement, I go to Danny.
Yeah.
If I have an idea and like I don't know, I bring it to Danny, and I feel excited. But I really feel in that way. Like if I could describe Danny, I would say he's like the spark plug of our team, because I think no one else brings that level of like enthusiasm and energy to the team that the way that he does. He's only extrovert, and I want to say this too. I feel like Danny brings an administration side to the team that no one else does too. Where I think Danny rejects it all the time, but I think it's because he hasn't seen the anointed version of it. But I think the administrative side is part of an apostolic calling to be able to build long term, like Josh was saying. So I feel like those are the things that Danny does bring to the team that no one else does, like that spark plug, energy, enthusiasm, and that administrative mindset, where I would say it's kind of like an engineer in a way.
Wow.
Like it would be like a prophetic engineer. I guess is what I would say it as. Like that strategic side to a degree. So I feel like that's what Danny brings to the team that no one else does. What about for me? We'll finish with Josh last. But what do you feel like I bring to the team? I mean, there wouldn't be a team if
The team,
for me.
yeah.
I bring the team to the team.
I mean, this one's obvious, but direction. And I feel like, I mean, obviously, I mean, just I guess more than that, more than just the team not existing. I think if you weren't doing what you were doing for this team, I think during this quarantine, we wouldn't be doing anything. Like we would just literally be thinking like, oh, like let's just prepare really well for the first gathering we're gonna have, and then just be satisfied with that. But then I think for you, the creative mind that you have, and I'm sure everyone agrees with this. We've said this to you multiple times, like throughout this quarantine too. But all the initiatives,
it doesn't mean I don't like hearing it again.
All the initiatives you have, all the ideas you have, and I think like it's just really innovative, or it's just really something original. And I think other than that too, I think you bring such a big prophetic aspect to this team too. And I think even the way that we have so many conversations surrounding prophetic things that God is doing. Like none of us, even if we saw something over and over again, we're probably like, oh, we're just crazy. Like, we wouldn't think twice about it. But the fact that you open it up as like, hey, I think this might be something from God. And then we dive into this huge spiral of like, there's so many, things. And like, I feel we're in one right now, like just things coming up. We wouldn't have that, like that kind of direction. And to be honest, that kind of close feeling with God, like friendship with God, if you weren't here. part of this team.
Thanks, Kevin.
I would say two things. I think what PSAM brings to the team is culture. Yeah, culture as in like team culture, like especially I think bringing Heaven's culture, because I don't think until I met PCM even personally, I don't think I've ever seen someone walk out Heaven's culture until I met PCM. Like things like honor, things like understanding that God is abundant, understanding like the supernatural stuff like that. And I think if you weren't carrying that, then this team's culture would be something totally different. And I think honestly, even when I look at our team, more than the vision, more than the direction, more than any of that, I think it's the culture of our team that you've brought that sustains it, you know?
Wow.
And so, and I think you do make us culture too with a lot of cultural references as well. So we appreciate that.
That's true.
And then I think the second,
relevant.
Yeah, hashtag relevant. Like you're trying to do TikTok, you know, and stuff like that. I think you're the only person on our team that's trying to do TikTok.
Kevin's on TikTok now.
But I just started.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but see,
I quit though. I quit TikTok.
You quit? Okay.
I don't have any more ideas.
And I think the second thing that you bring practically is I think you bring a level of care through your thoughtfulness, because I think every one of our team member can testify. You're always thinking about giving us gifts, like meaningful gifts to people. And I know personally when I receive it, I'm like, oh, he thought about this and to give it to me. And so I think that brings a level of unity within our team too. So yeah, like even you giving me Mamba Mentality book after Kobe Bryant passed away. Rest in peace, Kobe. But
yeah, I want to say this. I ordered that for you like right when he passed, but it literally sold out for months. That's why it took so long. That's not my fault.
No, it's not. But I think your thoughtfulness is a huge contribution to the team, because I think that's what makes a team feel like family, because you're always thinking of us.
Yeah. Can I add something to what Josh just said at the end too? But I don't want to say this wrong, but you don't care about a lot of people, but the way that you care about us. do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Like the level of care, I feel like it's honestly unmatched. Not in the sense as in like you care about every single person like dispersed, but the people that you really care about, like you really care about them. Sorry, I just want to say it again what Josh said.
God doesn't have favorites, but I do. So like I think that's the thing. I think Danny is the most encouraging to everyone equally.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
It could be some random guy from his seminary that preaches, and Danny will make him feel like he's Stephen Furtick.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't even care. I'm on Instagram while that guy's preaching.
Yo, accurate. On Yelp.
Yeah, I'm on Yelp.
Oh man.
But Danny will go up to him and encourage him like he's Stephen Furtick. I won't even close my eyes when he's praying.
Oh my God.
To be honest.
Stop the chat.
Yo, we're still live. We're still live, I think.
But I'm just being honest. God doesn't have favorites. I do. I'm sorry. It's just who I am.
That actually takes us into what I felt you brought to the team. No, I really do mean this, but I really think you bring an unmatched level of fun that if you weren't on our team, I don't think we would have fun, if I'm being honest. I think I'm too serious. I think Josh is too serious. I think Kevin is too pastoral. And so if you weren't here, I don't think we would have fun, but I just think that's one of just a huge value of yours and what you bring to the table. And it's through pursuit where I realized ministry can be fun. And I just want to say that openly because I mean it from the bottom of my heart. But I learned that ministry can be fun through pursuit, but specifically through UPSAM. And so I love it. And then the next one I would say that you bring to the table is empowerment, where once again, I'll just say like, I wouldn't be the type of leader at my capacity, at my age right now, if it wasn't for you and the way you've empowered me, even when it comes to preaching, I still have a long way to go, but I think I grew exponentially in 2 years because of you and the opportunity you've given me. I think Josh and Kevin could say the same thing as well. And
For
so
sure.
Yeah.
I think the reason why, and I didn't read the text messages that people sent to you, but I think the reason why people are like, yo, Sam, how in the world did you get these guys? How do you get the quote unquote best leaders of our region? Is because you groomed us. And I feel like you developed us and you've empowered us to be that type of person. So
Yeah.
man, if it wasn't for you, for real, I'd probably be a miserable minister that can't even do ministry. So
Yeah.
thank you.
But one who has accomplished much.
Probably.
Yeah. But thanks, guys. And let's wrap up with Josh. What does Josh bring to the team that no one else does?
Bring a lot to the team.
Bring a latte to the team. He's into coffee.
I want to word this well too, but
not just word it badly. Word it badly as you did.
Yeah, I hate everyone but this team.
You bring this DGAF attitude that I actually learned from, and let me tell you about that. I'm talking about when you get an idea, you just kind of go for it, and I think it's even shown in you going after the Jesus Culture Leadership School thing. You had an idea, and then you were like, I think I should do it this way, and I'm just gonna go for it. And it doesn't matter, about the other things. I'm sure you've thought about those things, but at the end of the day, you did what was best, or what you feel like God was saying to you personally. And I think even in what you did recently with the donuts thing too, like you just heard it from a leadership like teaching it was a free trial for like a week, and then you were convicted enough that at the end of the week you decided to take an action on it in the middle of a pandemic. Like it doesn't get more DGAF than that, like don't give a yeah. I saw Danny's confused face.
Yeah,
don't give a Frank.
Yeah, but it goes in many layers because I feel like you actually helped me to just break off a lot of like people pleasing things too, because I feel you say you have like fear of man and you say you have like people pleasing, but I think the way that you carry yourself and you're just like yourself, it actually helps others around you to just be like, oh, that guy's weird, like I could be weird too, like something like that. So yeah,
I feel like I'm getting a backhand and then a compliment at the same time.
Yeah.
He's shaking your hand while he slaps your face with the other hand. Just kidding. I feel like Josh brings to the team, like, I think Josh said I was like thoughtful when it comes to relationships. I feel like Josh is thoughtful when it comes to like just like the steps and approach of our ministry and what we're trying to communicate. I would say it's like a meticulousness, if I could use that word. Like he's like thorough. He like plans it out. He makes sure it's like excellent. He makes sure it's like pieced together well so that it translates well. So I feel like I said, I go to Danny if I want like enthusiasm for an idea. I go to Josh if I want to make sure like the idea makes sense. He gets what I'm trying to say. So I'm like, does this idea make sense? Like, would it work? Right? Because if I go to Danny, I know he'd be like, it's like, yeah,
let's do it. Let's do
right?
it.
If I go to Kevin, he'll be like, Pastor Sam, I'll trust you. Whatever you want to do, I'm with you till the end. And Josh is like, it does make sense. And that's kind of like what I need before we go ahead with something. So I feel like it's like a thoughtfulness and the meticulousness towards excellence that I feel like he brings to the team that no one else does. Like that I don't know how else to describe it, but also on a personal level recently, I feel like I've been really challenged by Josh's commitment to growth. And I think it's upping our whole team's game and like wanting to grow and go to the next level. So I feel like that's what Josh brings and has added that new wrinkle that he brings to the team as well.
Yeah. Yo, I totally second the second thing you said about Josh's commitment and devotion to personal growth, because I think Josh has been the single person that has challenged me the most probably within this past year. and I think without a doubt it's Josh. It's not no Stephen Furtick. It ain't no TD Bishop Jakes. It's Josh Kim. No, but I mean that. I mean that with all honesty, because yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to say it, dude. But I think for me, for the first time, I'm seeing someone really go after it that I know, and that's giving me permission to say, Danny, you got to do it too. You know, not in a place where it's like, oh, comparison, nothing like that. But because Josh is running after it so hard, I'm like, oh man, I want to pursue his level of excellence, and I want to pursue his level of commitment for not only his personal growth, but because his personal growth, he's investing into the team. So all these different things where I'm like, okay, I got to do what Josh is doing. Like 100 books. Okay, let me start out with 15. Like all these different things. So I love that. And I think that's what Josh brings. Another thing that I think Josh brings to the table, and it's very similar to what you said about kind of when you would, if you were to ask different people for their input, even before Josh went to Jesus Culture School of Leadership, I would hit up Josh when I needed like real practical leadership insight. And I remember there were moments where I hit up Josh, just only Josh, because I needed his input for specific moments and specific thoughts that I was going through. If I needed to grow in an area, I would say, Josh, what do you think I need to grow in? So there was always that before Jesus Culture School of Leadership. But then since he came back, I feel like it's a whole nother level. I don't even know how to fully describe it again. It's just a whole nother level of what it is that he carries in terms of wisdom, in terms of, yeah, just like insight to know exactly what to say and how to say it and how to get you to where it is that you want to go. And so I think that's one thing I so appreciate about Josh is his level of wisdom and insight that I don't think anyone in this team carries it the way Josh carries it, you know? And so I'm just grateful, man. I'm glad you're back, bro.
Yo, thanks everyone. Glad to be back. Thanks, guys.
Addition by addition. I'll stop there. But yeah, I mean, hope, you know, we went a little longer than normal tonight. We just wanted to give everyone an inside look to our team and teamwork and just, I guess, the foundations of how we became a team and the whole journey and the things that govern us. So I want to close with some final remarks. Let's see if I could do this. It's on Josh though. How do I? Okay, here we go. So yeah, tonight we just shared kind of the core values and the story and history of our team and the journey for us to get to where we're at now. And I think one of the biggest blessings for me as the leader of this ministry and of this team is to see the transition we've made from Pursuit being known as just me, to be honest, to now our team. And I think people get to see our team move and function together. But we just wanted to kind of give a backstory that it doesn't happen automatically. It takes work. It takes, you know, surrender, laying down pride, laying down agendas, and just wanting to show that teamwork makes the difference. If it's a dream that you could accomplish on your own, and the reality is it's too small. Only a dream that you can accomplish with the team is worth going after. And we hope that that translated well to everyone, that talent wins games, but teamwork wins championships. And I want to close with this quote that I saw. It's WITH with 4 letters allowing you to declare a choice that you've made, expressing where your loyalty and passions lie, making a bold statement that represents you and who you choose to be with. The word with is a powerful thing. So I just want to bless everyone with that word, that who you associate with, who you run with, who you do life with, it all makes a difference. I heard a quote say about friends: show me your friends and I'll show you your destiny. I feel the same could be about a team. Show me your team and I'll show you the visions you'll accomplish. So hope tonight was encouraging, gives you an inside look, hopes it makes you laugh at the same time. But overall, just encourages you to find a team that you could belong to, that you could give to and run with. And we know that only that which you could accomplish as a team is worthwhile. So hope our team kind of gives a blessing and an inside look to that. And hope everyone was blessed. I had fun tonight. I hope the 3 viewers had fun tonight. Any final remarks from anyone else before we wrap up? and go to announcements real quick?
Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't the best of the best because then I wouldn't have gotten chosen. So thank you, Lord.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
But yeah, so tomorrow is our day 10 of our Bible reading. I feel like 10 days went by real fast. But we've just been reading the Bible one chapter every morning at 8:30 on IG Live. And we're wrapping up Ephesians and Philippians. Head over to our Discord where people are sharing insights. Some people are sharing commentaries. But it's all good. All are welcome to come and just share and be a part of it. I mean, my vision is to just try to create an online community that way. But we're just experimenting. Yeah, who knows what the next iteration of our Bible reading looks like. First, we tried Bible app. We tried this. And I'm sure we'll have something coming up soon. We'll have to... When's our next meeting, guys? I don't remember. But we'll have something for you guys as well. Anything else, guys?
I have one thing I want to say. Remember how in Kobe's funeral, Shaq said Kobe was like, you don't spell, or Shaq told Kobe, there's no I in team. And Kobe was like, there's an M-E.
Mhm.
That's not true. The one time I disagree with Kobe. So remember, team is better. Team is so much better. I disagree with Kobe, but
I don't even know what you're saying right now. I don't even know what you're saying right now.
R.I.P.
What's happening right now?
Peace out. And the peace out.
I just saw a train derail right before my eyes.
I felt like we need to end on a fun celebration note.
But you just said R.I.P. What's happening?
I cut this.
Should I
My
cut
stomach
this
hurts right now.
People are leaving. People are leaving right now.
We saved the best for last right now. I don't even know what's happening. But follow us on Instagram at PursuitNYC. Subscribe to this video. I mean, YouTube. Share this video with anyone that encouraged. If it encouraged you, tell them not to watch the end. Or just watch the end and make it into a meme or something. Right? Let something go viral from this video. It won't be any of our content. It will just be this previous moment.
Yeah.
We'll have a schedule of more online content like the Instagram Live as well. And next Saturday, we're going to have a belated 6th birthday party of Pursuit. Maybe we'll do mukbang style. I think I mentioned it last week. We haven't done it yet. But yeah, much love, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We're sorry. And we love you. God bless. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Mamba out.